Hello and welcome back to the Entrepreneur's Anchor. I'm Naveen Kumar Selvaraj. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most powerful and often misunderstood form of leadership, namely servant leadership. This traditional model of a leader that's in our head is one of power and authority, a person at the top of a pyramid giving orders. But what if true leadership isn't about being served, but rather about serving? This episode is about the servant leader's crown, building a legacy of impact. A servant leader doesn't see their position as a crown of status, but as a crown of responsibility, rather. Their primary goal is not to be the most important person in the room, but to help everyone else become their best selves. This is a profound spiritual shift from a mindset of what can I get to what can I give. This isn't a soft or passive form of leadership, my friends. It is a powerful, intentional, and transformative way of building a business. It's the kind of leadership that builds a legacy of impact far beyond the bottom line. You see, the paradox of servant leadership is that when you stop trying to be the most important person and instead make it your mission to serve those you lead, you become a more powerful and respected leader than you ever could have been through traditional methods. A traditional leader uses their power to command obedience. A servant leader uses their power to empower others. They understand that their success is entirely dependent on the success of their team. Their job is to remove roadblocks, to provide resources, to create an environment where the team can thrive, and to help each individual on their team reach their full potential. This brings to mind a famous cultural reference and maybe a very favorite one, possibly for most of you. And I'm talking about Vito Corleone in The Godfather. His concept of friendship was transactional. You see, he always talked about how a favor done created a debt, a favor that must be returned when asked. This is the model many businesses run on. But a spiritually grounded leader flips this model entirely. The practice becomes this: do the favor if it's within your capacity and network, but do it without expecting anything in return. Don't speak of it, don't publicize it. This is an act of pure service. The spiritual truth here is that the returns will come automatically at the right time because the universe works that way. It's the difference between building a network of debts and building a community of trust. The spiritual practice of servant leadership is rooted in this kind of selfless humility and empathy. It's the willingness to put the needs of your team before your own. This doesn't mean you become a doormat or a passive observer. On the contrary, it requires a profound sense of self awareness and strength. It requires you to know your own worth so that you don't need external validation from your team. You're secure enough to celebrate their successes and to give them the credit, even when you were the one who made it possible. This is the kind of leadership that builds loyalty, not just obedience. When a team member feels like their leader genuinely cares about their well being and their personal growth, they will go above and beyond for that leader and for the company. A business built on servant leadership isn't just a place to work, rather, it's a place to grow. It becomes a community. And a business that is also a community is a powerful and resilient thing. It's a place where people show up not just for a paycheck, but for a purpose. And that is a legacy that lasts. So, how do we practice servant leadership in our businesses? It's not about grand gestures. It's not about the fancy lunches that you throw. It's about small, consistent acts of service. First, practice empathy. Take the time to understand the challenges, the fears, and the aspirations of every member of your team. Ask questions, listen deeply. Second, remove roadblocks. Your job isn't to be a micromanager, rather, it's to be a barrier remover. When your team comes to you with a problem, don't tell them what to do. Ask them, what do you need from me to solve this? Third, give credit where it is due. A servant leader doesn't seek the spotlight. When your team succeeds, celebrate their success publicly and genuinely. Give them the credit, even if you were the one who guided them, even if you were the one who took the lead. Doesn't matter. Give them the credit. This act of humility builds a tremendous amount of loyalty and trust. Fourth, and perhaps, in my opinion, most importantly, commit to their personal and professional growth. This could be as simple as paying for a course, providing them with mentorship, or giving them a new, challenging project that you know will help them grow. A servant leader sees their team not just as employees, but as whole human beings with potential that they can help cultivate. In an effect, you would not just be building a community within the business, but you would be making fantastic citizens and human beings that will take that principle outside your office and into the world. Thank you for joining me on this episode. Remember, the greatest leaders are the ones who serve. Please subscribe and share this podcast with a fellow entrepreneur who's ready to build a legacy of impact, not just a business. Next week, we'll explore mindful marketing, communicating your purpose with authenticity. Until then, as always, stay grounded, keep building with purpose, and remember, your spirituality is your greatest asset. See you next time.